What is up, everyone? Oscar here, doing a live stream to discuss the Washington football team taking on the Philadelphia Eagles for Week 17 of the NFL. If you notice, I have a new face, a new guest on my channel. Her name is Kat Butner, and I will introduce her. So let's go ahead and introduce her to the show, shall we? How are you doing, Kat?
I'm good.
So, just a couple of questions so that way the audience can get to know you. How long have you been in the first off? You're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, correct? Secondly, how long have you been following the Eagles, or how long have you been a fan of the Eagles? And yeah,
So, I am in fact a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's kind of ridiculous the memorabilia I have in my apartment. um, it's pretty ridiculous. Like, I don't know what I don't have, ranging from pajamas to coffee mugs to t shirts to sweatshirts. It's kind of ridiculous. And blankets. So, and socks, even. So, yeah,
wow.
there's that. Um, I think I
And this
have
is
all
that
the
I
bases
only
covered.
have, and this is that I only have. This is I don't have any of the new gear. I have like old when they were known as the Washington. I don't know if I'm gonna get slander for this, but when they were formerly known as the Washington Redskins, all I have is a jacket and like an old like sweatshirt. So
Yeah, I it's kind of crazy. I have one family member who just kept giving me stuff. She's also a fan, and every Christmas it was like she just gave me stuff every year, and I'm like, oh, cool. Um, I've been a fan since I was 10 years old, and I'm now 36, soon to be 37, January 5th. So it's I've been a fan for years. I've actually attended I think two preseason games and when the Eagles played the Bears. I want to say that was in 2013. It was at home. So I think that was in 2013. Yeah, it had to be 2013 cuz I know we won. That's all I remember exactly. But that was pretty fun. It was the best experience ever.
yeah, me personally as a Washington fan, I've been to a couple of games. I went to the Packers game, the playoff game that featured the Packers like 6 years ago, I believe, 5 years ago. And then I went when they played on Thanksgiving against the Giants. Note to self: don't go when it's freezing cold.
It was actually nice when we went. It was one of those bizarre, like, nice days in, like, December or something when we went. It could have been, I feel like it was like November or December, like unheard of weather. But yeah, it was weird.
Give me 1 second. There was a second guest that was supposed to come on, and he's just texting me now. Just give me 1 second to take. So, how were the streets? And this is something actually do want to ask an Eagles fan because I never asked. How were the streets of Philly when you all won the Super Bowl like 4 years ago?
From what I heard, Oscar, it was insane. I mean, any game that we Philly fans win is ridiculous. Um, it's just how we are. We go all out. Um, it's how Philly fans are. We when there's a game, it's just it's either if we don't go all out, it's like something's not right. There's tailgating. Well, that's any football game, but
Yeah,
I feel like the Eagles fans take it to the extreme.
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I can't relate because the last time Washington won was in 1992, and I wasn't alive back then. So I get to watch like just the stuff on YouTube. So like, but I heard that when Washington won Super Bowls, They literally would take over the streets. I forgot what the streets were called, but like RFK basically,
Yeah,
that area. But
that's kind of how Philly is. Yeah, that's from what I've never I didn't get to go to the Super Bowl against oh the Patriots, which was pretty epic that we beat the Patriots because
as
that's
bad as this sounds, I was actually rooting for the Eagles to win that Super Bowl.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, because
um
I just can't stand Tom Brady. I can't
yeah,
stand him. Like he really
no,
gets on my nerves.
not a lot of people can, but I wasn't sure that we'd be able to pull it off because Tom Brady is just he's Tom Brady. And like I was on the fence. I was like, man, are we gonna win this game? I don't know. And then when they're like, oh, Eagles won, I'm like, wait, no, did I hear that right? Yes, I think I did. And then of course I had to get one of their, Super Bowl shirts. Obviously, that's definitely something I had to add to my gear because
Yeah.
it's not it's not heard of too many times that the Eagles do win the Super Bowl. So I think they made it in 1980, but they obviously didn't win. So, but I wasn't born then, so that doesn't count.
Yeah. Um. What other? Oh, yeah. So, what do you think of? Because obviously, there's playoff aspirations for Philly. I'm not going to talk about the playoff aspirations for Washington at this point because I already got heated enough on one of my videos this past week, and I said that I gave them this, a point zero. Like I don't know how many zeros I put it in there, but I just got tired of saying zero. I just said 1%. Philly takes on Washington this week, and then to close out the year, they take on Dallas. Obviously, Dallas has won the division with I forgot how they got won they got into the playoffs, but I forgot how they won the division. But they won the division, but the Eagles can basically sneak in there if they win out
Yeah,
and get some help. What do you think their chances are? What are your thoughts on their quarterback situation as well? Because I guess they have a quarterback situation with Jalen Hurts and
they do.
um,
Um,
I forgot.
I'm
Yeah, go ahead.
surprised that they have a chance at the playoffs because of their. I'll be honest, the Eagles are very wishy washy. They do good first half of the season and then they slack off, or they slack off and they do good the second half. Like you never know with these guys. Um, So when I heard that there's playoff potential, I'm like, how did this happen? like, but I'm not surprised because it's like they come back
Oh,
staff to get them ready. Honestly, if they really want to shot at the playoffs, they'll put themselves in position to get there.
yeah. Um, what are the chances of them getting past the first round? Because obviously they're going to be in the wild card round. What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? Because what I'm noticing and is that Jalen Hurts he's not known as a thrower. He's more known as a runner. And the Eagles, actually, interestingly enough, they rely on their run game more on their pass game. So, do you think that that'll become to like into a
Yeah,
become a
they rely on
factor?
him mostly to run.
Because they they have to take on teams that love to pass the football,
Yep.
like Dallas, Cardinals, who else? Tampa Bay, teams like that. Do you think that they have a chance? Because I don't think the Eagles somehow caught fire, and I slept on them. In fact, I think a lot of Washington fans, Dallas fans, Giants fans, counted them out because last year they weren't all that good at all, and
No.
everyone thought that they were in rebuild mode, but they surprised, and here they are in a title and basically in the playoff hunt. I wouldn't call them Super Bowl contenders, but you never know. Crazier things have happened.
I don't want to be too cautious and too optimistic because again, they could, but they've done it before. Like they've done things where they've gone to the playoffs. They've played the first game, they've won. They've gone to the next game of the playoffs and they've lost, or they've gone to the first game of the playoffs and they've lost. So it's either way. I don't really have. I'm sorry, it's the Eagles. I don't have any expectations because if I have expectations, they're just gonna get ruined. So I'm just gonna, I mean, they've made it this far, and they've they to say that they have a chance is pretty awesome considering that they've kind of had a rocky start. To be honest, I mean, the first half of the year they did. So I don't know what happened between then and now, but I'll take whatever happened between then and now because it put them in a chance at
Yeah.
the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, give me 1 second, Kat, because the second
Sure.
guest is actually backstage. So let me add him into the stream real fast. Marvin, can you hear me? Or can you hear us, rather? Hello? Let me make sure. Oh, let me let him know that. Marvin, I think your mic, um,
It might be
your
muted.
your mic may be muted. Try to unmute yourself. Hello? Still nothing.
I don't hear him.
Send a message real fast. Um, hmm. Let me just let him know that he's muted. Just give me 1 second, Kat. And I'm double checking. Sorry, folks. The habit of trying to manage a stream, add people into the stream, and also monitor the chat as well.
Oh, multitasking can sometimes be hard.
Yeah. Well, give me. Kat, I'm gonna step away for a few seconds. If Marvin comes in, introduce him, or I give you permission to.
What's his last name again?
Marvin Pearson. Just give me 1 second. He just sent me a message. Let me see what he's. Okay, so he just said that he's leaving. He's about to jump in again.
All right.
But I'll be right back.
Okay.
So he won't be jumping in. I have to add him in again, but I'll be right back. All right, I'm back.
Sounds good.
My grandma just is a little bit stubborn with not learning to use tablets, and she needs to log into Zoom for a meeting herself, and she refuses to learn.
Who's this?
My grandma.
Aw. Well, you know, the older generation. I get it.
You know. But, let me see if Marvin jumped back in. Marvin, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you, my man. Can you hear me?
All right, you are heard now. I can hear you now.
Okay, okay, that was my mistake.
No
Life got in
problem,
the way
man.
big time about an hour and a half ago.
Nah, don't worry about it. So Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel again. Guys, if you guys remember this guy, Marvin Pearson or MD Pearson, he is also a fellow YouTuber, or not YouTuber, but Eagles fan. I also like to introduce you, Kat, to Marvin as well. Marvin
What's
actually,
going on, Kat?
interestingly enough, is a bigger NFL fan than myself. You know, he knows a lot of stats that exceed my knowledge. So
Oh dear.
I'm glad that we were able to work this out because, maybe even though he's an Eagles fan, he could, give some insight on Washington as well. Like I said, I give Washington a 0% chance of winning. We'll discuss, if Washington has a chance of winning because they just got beat down by Dallas. I'm gonna call, instead of calling you all the Eagles, I'm gonna call you all the Vultures because you guys are gonna be picking off the bones of Washington. So, but Marvin,
Well,
I do want to ask you because I already asked Kat this question while we were waiting. Um, so the Eagles are in the position of getting into the playoffs via the wild card. Obviously, winning the division's out of the question. If they make it, they have to obviously win out. Do you still give them a chance to make it to the playoffs? And how far do you think they'll go?
yeah. I actually think the Eagles. I think there's a very little chance that they miss out on the playoffs. Because when you look at Jalen Hurts over the last 8 games, even so, they won 6 out of 2 over their last 8 games. And you start to take a look at the numbers, and you realize that Jalen Hurts over the last 8 games, he's top 5 in QBR. I think I briefly heard you say Jalen Hurts isn't good at throwing the football, but over the last 8 games, he showed tremendous progress, being able to push the ball downfield, using Devontae Smith more over the top on go routes, fly routes, and in those dig routes that Devontae Smith likes to run. I think that the Eagles against Washington gives up the second most passing yards in the league behind Baltimore. I believe I've seen that.
Wow.
I think they're neck and neck. So Washington gives up the second most passing yards in the league. And with Jalen Hurts being able to do a variety of different things, being able to move, being able to move out of the pockets while being able to keep his eyes downfield, while at the same time having a run game. Who Miles Sanders? A lot of people don't realize this, but Miles Sanders is one of only 3 running backs to average 5 yards a carry over his first few seasons in the NFL. The other two being Walter Payton and I believe the other one is Gale Sanders. So this is going to be a good game. I'm not going to count Washington out of the game because Washington has one of the most ferocious front sevens in the NFL. And Philly's at times this year, Philly's shown the inability to be able to block off of that left guard. So we'll see if Philadelphia can block Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, then we should be in a good position to win because I don't think Washington has the receivers to be able to beat an All-Pro corner and a Pro Bowl corner in Darius Slay,
No,
and
he
Philadelphia's front
basically shut
seven
him
enough to
down.
stop Gibson. Say that one time.
Last time that Darius Slay basically shut Terry McLaurin down. Aside from that big 41-yard pass, you didn't hear anything else from Terry McLaurin after that.
Right. And I remember that game specifically because I had Terry McLaurin in my fantasy football lineup. And for one time in my life, I was hoping that the Eagles would win, but that their defense would get torched by Terry McLaurin. And he let me down big time. So,
Shout out to Jason Alamio, who just says, yo, he's a friend of the channel. I had him on last week discussing the Cowboys. Jason, all I got to say is you better be nice in the chat. You better be nice in the chat because I saw your video that you posted earlier, and you did a horrible imitation of me. So be nice. Your Cowboys aren't going anywhere. Funny enough, you like I said, every team
I
so
think
far,
that does have some validity to it
the
about his Cowboys
Eagles,
not being able to go anywhere.
the Eagles basically picked off the bones of Washington last time because Washington was ravaged by COVID. and then Dallas basically preyed on them because of their injuries. Granted, I did not expect Jamin Davis to be out until last minute. And then the Eagles
I
again. I'm
think
gonna say
it's
this: y'all are gonna be scavengers again. So
I think it's hard to say. I mean, because when what week did Philadelphia and Washington play each other? Because if I'm not mistaken, at the time the records were identical, but the Eagles were considered as the worst team out of the two. Because it wasn't until recently that the Eagles have won on their 4-game winning streak that they've been on that people started giving Philadelphia a legitimate chance at being able to make some noise, as a wild card, as one of- as well. And it's crazy. Like me at the beginning of the year, I was actually disappointed in the Eagles because as much as I said I want them to lose, I look across this lineup right from Jordan Mailata to, and I've always believed in Jalen Hurts. I don't care about the throwing ability downfield. I play sports, obviously not at the highest, at the highest level, but I play sports, and I'm like Jalen Hurts, right? I'm a blue collar guy. I'm a baller. I make up for whatever inefficiencies I have physically. I make up with my mindset, with my killer mentality, with my my go get it kind of mentality, and that's what Jalen Hurts does, right? He's not your prototypical quarterback. He's not going to complete 70+%, like your Drew Brees is, like your Tom Brady's of the world. But what he will give you is exactly what Lamar Jackson gives you, right? And that's athleticism. That's making defenses guess outside the pocket and be able to make them switch coverages and switch defenses and try to confuse him, which essentially confuses them because now you're putting a lot of pressure on your middle linebackers and your secondaries. And Jamin Davis being a rookie linebacker, if he plays this game, that's going to be it's going to be difficult for him to be able
yeah,
to be able to spy on somebody like Jalen Hurts while at the same time be able to play the run.
but let me. I was gonna ask. Man, I had a really good question. It'll come back to me hopefully before the end of the stream. Um, Jamin Davis though he's been underwhelming. He has been, in my opinion, shouldn't have been a first round draft pick. Just because he
You
hasn't
remember? I
done.
don't know if you remember what I told you.
No, yeah, I remember what
You
you.
were
I remember. Oh,
you
that's
were
what I
pissed they
want
didn't take Jeremiah Allison
Jeremiah
Core.
Owusu.
I
Yeah,
always yeah Owusu, yeah, you were mad they didn't take him. And even I had said, I like Jamin Davis. I told you to begin with, long term you're not going to be mad at the Jamin Davis pick, and I stand by that. Long term you're not going to be mad about it, but to take him 19th overall, he could have been picked up in the second round,
yeah,
and Jeremiah should have been who the Redskins should have took from the beginning. Because you look at you look at him over in Cleveland. There's not another rookie defender in the NFL having a better season than him outside of Micah Parsons. Other than that, he'd be rookie of the year this year.
but that's what I wanted to ask. For both of you, and I guess Kat, since we haven't heard from you in a good while, how would you guys has Jalen Hurts and the Eagles exceeded your expectations, or did you guys expect this? And I'll start with Kat first.
So I guess as a whole, like the whole team has I can't really say like he him personally. I think as a whole team because football is a team sport. It's not an individual sport, and it takes everyone to come together. Um, it takes everyone to come to the table and play their part to be a good team. But I guess to really be transparent to your question, he has shown growth from when he started to now. Definitely, I mean, like it's been obviously proven that he can run the ball, from one side of the field on the other, and just make amazing plays. I mean, I'm just amazed at some of the plays that he's made, even this season. I'm just like, wait, how did you do that? Like, I mean, it's I can't exactly remember when they signed him. I know that's pretty sad, but it's the truth. But no, there's definitely been growth from when he started to now.
Um, Marvin, I get you. You can go next. How has Jalen Hurts exceeded expectations or not, considering where he was last year, and then because I've been on a couple of Washington live streams, and we had out of the 4 quarterbacks in the NFC East, we had Jalen Hurts at the bottom, and obviously reflecting back, well, me personally, I'm seeing more and more that maybe Daniel Jones should have been at the bottom, and Jalen Hurts is the second best at this point because we're seeing how Taylor Heineke is, and Washington fans aren't really too happy with his performance. So you can go ahead and go.
Is Jalen Hurts exceeding my expectations? No, because I've always been one of those guys that I hold my team to high expectations to begin with. If anything, he was underperforming. And I say that because I brought up his mentality, right? I'm a big time Oklahoma fan, so I've been following Jalen Hurts for a long time since he came from Alabama, since he got benched in the second half for Tua Tagovailoa, since he took Oklahoma to the playoffs and did some things in the college football playoffs, and then was drafted in the second round by Philadelphia. I've been watching the kid, and Jalen Hurts is a big time baller. And so for the Eagles to have been at one point in time 2-5, I felt that was a detriment to how he was playing personally. But you've seen, like I brought up numbers, right? I brought up the fact that he's top 5 in the league with the QBR, and like Kat said, over the time he's slowly but surely been improving his play, which slowly but surely been gaining the confidence of his teammates around him. And for you to have him last on your totem pole of quarterbacks in the NFC East after saying a year that Daniel Jones has where he had over 7 fumbles and he finished last in in the division out of the legitimate quarterbacks before Jalen Hurts took over. And not only QBR but turnovers, passing yards, passing attempts, passing anything that had to do with passing. Daniel Jones was at the bottom of the totem pole. So no, to answer your question more directly, no. Jalen Hurts, he's not exceeding my expectations. If anything, he's underperformed up until this point.
Wow. Shout out to Get the Memo, who just sent. I've been monitoring the chat, and he asks, how much time do we give Jamin Davis to improve? That's actually a really, really good question. Unfortunately, a lot of I'm gonna give you my answer, and then we can go ahead and do a round table. Me personally, I didn't like the pick, and Marvin knows. Some audience members knows that I wasn't too happy about the pick. And basically, what all Washington fans and YouTubers alike have been saying that this guy needs to step up because Chase Young went down. Montez Sweat missed 4 games. We've been calling for him to step up, and we just don't know. Granted, Ron Rivera loves to give the guys that are part of his background, military background, a chance. But seeing how Micah Parsons is, Micah Parsons is a beast. And that's something that Washington needs.
Actually, bro,
I think
it's hard to compare. I think it's hard to compare Jamin Davis to even put him in the same conversation. You can't put any rookie, right, in the last 20 years in the same conversation with Micah Parsons, because Micah Parsons is only one of 2 players outside of Lawrence Taylor to receive, and it didn't happen yet, but it's going to happen, right, to receive both a Rookie of the Year and a Defensive Player of the Year vote, right, because Lawrence Taylor was the only other player to ever do that. I think Jamin Davis he's a first round draft pick, 19th overall. You look at Jalen Reagor almost a year later, being the 20th overall pick over Justin Jefferson, 21st overall over Justin Jefferson. Teams give their first round picks time. So I think Jamin Davis is going to be fine. I think Oscar, what's happening is I think you guys expected a lot out of Jamin Davis to really solidify that Washington defense, to really solidify the middle of that defense, and he hasn't done that. His learning curve has been a little slow. So, but I'm not worried about him, honestly. I think when you look at Davis, you realize that he's an athletic freak. Like, he had one of the fastest 40-yard times at his position. He plays with his head on a swivel. When you talk about going from sideline to sideline, there's not too many guys in the NFL who can do it like he can. So all the intangibles is there, but can he learn the game is what's being questioned right now.
Kat, I don't know if you want to chime in. I don't know if you keep track of Washington or not.
Not terribly, no.
All right. So, something that I do want to bring up. It's
I mean,
not
shoot, he's better than I.
true. It's not Washington or Philadelphia Eagles related. But I do want to get your thoughts on this. John Madden, a legend of the sport, passed away yesterday, the age of 85. I do want to get y'all's thoughts on it. Me personally, I didn't. I started watching football when I was 7 or 8 years old. And I remember the only time I remember him actually like watching him was maybe like the Super Bowl between I think it was like the Cardinals and the Steelers. And then obviously he's known for the game Madden, and that's what like that kind of has got my attention was that I still play Madden to this day. So, what are your thoughts on his passing? Do you guys have any memories of his broadcasts or not? And we can go with Kat first.
The name actually did not ring a bell, but now I know exactly where the video game comes from.
Short and sweet, huh?
Marvin, you can go.
I may Yeah. So I've been I'm only 23 years old, so obviously John Madden was around a long time before I am. When you talk about Hall of Fame kind of guy, you talking about Hall of Fame person, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about
He's
Hall of Fame personality.
Yeah. He was a coach
and
like back in
what
the
he does for his
60s.
community.
Yeah. He was a coach in the 60s
Right.
and a color commentator for like the late, I want to say 80s to early 2000s. So,
All right, and you talk about Super Bowl champion, and you talk about one of the most pronounced color commentators the game has ever seen. But then when you take a little bit outside the four lines of football, right, and you take it to the video game, right, and you start thinking about the first Madden game came out in 1989 to 1990, I believe was the time. I might be a year or two off, but it was around that time, and it was a time where technology was really started to become innovative, and new technology was coming out where kids were moving away from Atari and moving away from some of those older Super Mario games, and starting to explore into the new Madden, where you was able to plug the red, white, and yellow cables up to the TV. And to me, when you talk about Madden, I remember my first ever Madden video games, because without John Madden, the brand Madden wouldn't be what we remember. And then I started playing Madden before I lost my vision, and even to today, losing my vision, and just remember, like, it just takes me back when I hear the name John Madden and I see the reports yesterday, and me and my friends in the football group chats, across the platforms, we're talking about it, and we were sharing our stories, and I just kept telling them. I remember the first Madden game that I had to plug the two little wires, the yellow and the white one, into the TV, and I used to invite all my friends to come over, and they were pixelated images we used to look at, and from where the game started to where it came today, just providing every race and every generation of young athletes, or even if you didn't play football, just young Americans, young world children, giving us a platform to play on and enjoy our time, stay out the street, stay away from drugs, and just giving us something to do instead of getting in trouble. So
yeah.
John Madden was, like I said, he's a legendary person, legendary commentator, and was a legendary coach, and rest in peace, coach.
Yeah. Oh, there is a question that I did overlook. Shout out to Naeem Abul Hawa and Jason Alamio. Be nice to the guy. I'm not in the mood to be monitoring your bickering in the chat right now. But he did. Naeem Abul Hawa did ask, "Is there any COVID or injury situations?" As far as I know, no, because we're finally recovering
Darren
players.
Waller.
However,
Thanks.
they're basically still trying to recover because I saw like that was just a bad game. I actually after I think it was like what early fourth quarter when I turned it off because the team was just so bad. But what about? Do you guys know Nick Sirianni wasn't in the building last game, right? I can't remember. I read something that
No,
he
he
got
wasn't.
COVID. So is he
Yeah, he
back
did.
this week, or are there any players that
I
are
haven't
out?
heard.
There's not any. I mean, obviously, there's going to be players that are out because of COVID. There is with every team every week. But from what I'm hearing, there's not any major. You should expect Dallas Goedert to be there, Devontae Smith, and
Miles
all
Sanders
the
has a
major
broken
players.
hand.
Yeah,
I think Miles
Miles
Sanders has
Sanders
a
is
broken
probably done
hand.
for the season, or at least until the playoffs.
Mm.
I did see that Miles Sanders will be out because of injury. But outside of that, I'm not. I don't. No, nobody's going to be out that hasn't already been out.
All right. So let's talk about keys to the key. I guess in y'all's case, because I'm not doing keys to victory. Washington ain't winning this game. I give them no chance. Like I said. But what are the key takeaways for this Sunday's game? Obviously, it's going to be in Washington. Do you guys actually fear Washington because they are trying to, even though they're not trying to make the playoffs, they do want to finish the season strong. They just got blown out by Dallas, 56-14. Do you guys fear
What is Washington's record? Are they 7-8?
6-8? They have a small chance of making the playoffs. I know that much. 6-9. Sorry,
They
6 and
can't be
9.
6-8. They got to be at
Six,
least
six,
7-8,
six,
6-9.
six. They're 6-9. Sorry, 6-9.
Oh, okay.
I keep on missing track, and I keep on forgetting that they added an extra game. But do you
But
guys
they
fear
have.
Washington?
I think all the teams to this point have played 15 games so far. I think there's 2 more games left, I believe.
Yeah. But do you guys fear Washington?
But if it's me, I mean, no. To be completely honest with you, no. But it is any given Sunday, and like I said, you do have Terry McLaurin. Avonte Maddox is probably one of the best nickel corners in the league, so be able to cover Terry McLaurin, be able to cover Adam Humphries, and then Antonio Gibson, right? Our front seven, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargreaves. I mean, you can't find a better two defensive tackles in the NFL. So. I don't think it's going to be a runaway. I don't see 56-14, but something like, 30-23, where Washington scores a late touchdown and make it look a little closer. That's kind of what I predict.
Kat, you can go next.
I'm definitely hoping it's not a shutout. Like, I don't want it to be another Dallas-Washington team score. I want it to be something close, just for the excitement,
I was excited when I saw 14-0 Dallas. I'm like, woohoo! But then when I saw 21-0, I was like, oh, okay,
really?
this
Come
like
on.
I was miserable. I want
both teams to show up basically and play.
I was miserable. I was supposed to do a live stream.
Washington just has to keep the turnovers down.
Yeah. But we're not facing Micah Parsons Fletcher Cox, he's good. He's been solid for the Eagles since he's come into the league, but he's not what he used to be. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then
Cox is an all-pro, brother.
And then what are the other? I know that there's more. Who's on the other guy? Who's on the other side?
And Javon Hargreaves, our defensive tackle, has 9.5 sacks this year alone. So
yeah,
like when you talk about D tackles, for a D tackle to have 9.5 sacks, that's a lot. There actually should have been no reason Javon Hargreaves didn't not only make it to the Pro Bowl, but didn't make it as an alternate either. I believe who was it? I believe it was Kenny Clark. Hargreaves has 9.5 sacks. Clark has like 4, and Hargreaves has about, I think, like 4 tackles for loss, and Kenny Clark has like 2. And then you talk about Javon Hargreaves having 3-4 fumbles, and Kenny Clark has 0. So I think if a lot of people talk about Fletcher Cox, but you got to remember that's not the only player on our defense. Javon Hargreaves, for all intents and purposes, have had one of the best seasons by a defensive tackle this season, and somehow didn't make it into the Pro Bowl.
All right. What are the key matchups you guys are looking forward to? A question that was asked in the chat. Kat, we'll start with you.
I honestly would want to. I really want to see Eagles and Dallas just because of the whole.
Oh no, this weekend.
Oh,
like
I'm
keep
sorry.
like player on player.
Sorry, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Marvin.
I think for me personally, it's the game is going to be won in the trenches. And I guess you could say that about any football game, right? But Dallas's best strength is running the football with Antonio Gibson up front. That's how the last game they won. I'm blanking off the top of my head who they played, but the last game they won, that's how they won. Running the football between the trenches with Antonio Gibson, and he completely obliterated me in fantasy football. I believe it was the first week he came back. So you're going to have to be able to run the ball between the trenches. Can your defensive line stop the Eagles' offensive line, who across the board, I mean, you look at Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks. I mean, we got one of the best lines in the NFL. So that's the matchup I want to see. There's no specific player on player. I mean, you could say Terry McLaurin on Darius Slay, but Slay made the Pro Bowl, McLaurin didn't. So I think we'll know who win that matchup.
Yeah.
So.
For me personally, I want to see how Antonio Gibson goes. Because the problem with Antonio Gibson is that he fumbles the football way too much.
Oh, sad.
The reason behind that is he's from Memphis, right? They drafted him to be a running back, but he played receiver at Memphis. You're not used to getting hit that many times. And when you get hit that many times in your first couple seasons in the NFL, then it becomes hard for those players to. I mean, you can coach a player so much to hang on to the ball, right? But a lot of times, you see running backs not only play running back because of their vision or because of their their blocking ability. I was running back in high school. It's because you can go up in there in between and with those big guys and be able to take those big hits or lower the pads without fumbling. Antonio Gibson hasn't proven that he can do that, be able to take those massive hits and go up in there with those big guys without fumbling the football. He has the vision, he has the athleticism, but now can you stop fumbling?
What did you all think? Okay, so I know that this was 2 weeks ago, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to. Marvin, you were able to make it. I had to, change the plan on literally when I was going live. But what did you all think of the Tuesday? Do you guys now that it's passed? But did you guys care at all that the game was moved to Tuesday? Did you guys? Yeah, that's what I wanted because of the whole entire Washington COVID situation. Did you guys like it? Did you guys dislike it? Because I know that the Eagles, as the organization, they weren't too happy at all. Because even though, in my opinion, they had no right to complain. I mean, they were still on a bye week, so they got extra days to prepare. But
wait. You want me to tell you why we had every right to complain real quick? I'm gonna tell you why we had every right to complain before we answer your question. The reason that we had every right to complain is because the NFL specifically, and you can look this up, specifically said if your game has to be moved because of a COVID outbreak, where the COVID outbreak is a result of an unvaccinated player, your team will be forced to forfeit the game. And then that's exactly what happened with Washington. Any other team would have been forced to forfeit a loss. Washington's COVID outbreak started because of an unvaccinated player. The game was moved, which means the NFL completely went back on their word and did the complete opposite of what was said. All because of Dan Snyder, because Dan Snyder and Roger Goodell are buddies.
Yeah, I can't complain there.
That's insane.
I can't say anything. I can't defend the owner. I really don't. I really don't agree with a lot of the owner's decisions. So, yeah. And here's the thing.
But I mean, that's the only
I
reason
was
Philly
actually
had a reason to complain.
surprised. I was actually surprised that they made the move to Tuesday. I actually thought that Washington was going to be forced to forfeit. Like I was prepared to read that notification saying that Washington forced a forfeit, but I was surprised that they moved it to Tuesday. But then again, I guess here's the thing though, like other games were moved too.
Yeah, but you gotta remember a key part of what I said, right? The COVID outbreak started from an unvaccinated player. Now, if that player had been vaccinated, we would be having a whole different discussion. I'd have no right to be upset. But other games were moved because this was the only player that was an unvaccinated player that caught COVID, where his team had to move the game. All the other games that were moved, it started from a player who was already vaccinated that tested positive for COVID.
Okay. So I guess did you guys so I'm guessing Marvin from your tone you actually did care, even though you guys came away with the win against Garrett Gilbert no
Oh, you know
less.
what? What's crazy? Um, to be honest, I said it in a football group, and this football group probably has about 1,000 members in it on Messenger, and I said to them, I said, you know what, I can get behind this football every day on Tuesday. Now a week later, right, Wednesday, because there was 8 out of during a 10 game stretch, 8 days we had a football game on. So, and I said I can get behind this watching football basically every single day. But after when you start throwing fantasy football implications in there, and I gotta wait an extra day just to see if I won or lost, or to see if where I'm gonna be at in the standings, and see where my money stack up. And I was like, all right, yeah, no, I'm cool. Y'all can keep the Tuesday games on Mondays or on Sundays, and we can move forward with regular schedule programming.
Yeah. Kat, what about you? Did you care about the game being moved from Sunday to Tuesday?
Well, it it didn't bother me because I didn't know that rule, but if it states that if a unvaccinated player has COVID and you're supposed to forfeit the game, then why are they breaking the rules?
Good point.
Like, I'm
Because
sorry,
I
but
think it was
rules,
just
rules.
one of those things where it was like almost like a tongue-in-cheek thing, right? Where the commissioner just said it at the beginning of the season. All right, look, this is what's going to happen, especially because of how the 2020 season went, where there was a variety of games moved around and a variety of players were supposed to be out that ended up playing, or vice versa. And so this year they were trying to come up with a new sort of solution or a new sort of idea, and so the commissioner came up with an idea, but whether it was ever a written law, I can't say, but it definitely did come out of his mouth that if you're unvaccinated and you're the one who start the COVID outbreak, your team is going to be forced to forfeit the game.
And that's not what happened, obviously.
Yeah.
Interesting. And that
Shout out.
player had no exemption to the rule.
No,
'Cause I,
no.
okay.
Shout out to Jason Alamio once more. He asked if Antonio Gibson should be switched to running back. I don't know if you meant switched back to wide receiver, Jason, because he is a running back. He was a wide receiver in college, and then when Washington drafted him, Ron Rivera, because I guess he was trying to look for a Christian McCaffrey wannabe, switched him to running back, but he used to be a wide receiver. I don't know, because Ron Rivera actually doesn't use him as a wide receiver. He just uses him as a passing back type player. Like I haven't seen him catch the ball like as a wide receiver. Marvin, did you did you know of Antonio Gibson when he played in Memphis? Was he a solid wide receiver, and do you think that Ron Rivera should use him more as a wide receiver than a running back?
Second round draft pick. I believe that's where he was drafted. I believe it was third round draft pick. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I followed him at Memphis. He was a real solid receiver. When a guy was sick, you're looking at 6'2", about 215. And I thought he had the body type to be a receiver, but I actually like him better as a running back. If somehow, some way you can be able to manage his fumbles, and teach him the right technique. And I know I said earlier in the show, you can't really teach somebody the the fundamentals of holding on to a football without flinching every time you know a big hit is coming. But if he can somehow get that to click in his brain to take those big hits and lower the shoulders and keep his arms around the football, then there'd be no reason to switch him back to receiver. You'd be wasting a draft pick there. You can just go draft a Treylon Burks or a Drake London out of USC. A big time, big bodied receiver instead of switching an already proven talent in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah, because right now Washington's aside from Terry McLaurin, everyone else has just been just depressing to me. Diami Brown, third round pick. He finally caught that 48-yarder. Took him long enough, but Curtis Samuel. Washington fans call him Paul Richardson Jr. or the second or whatever you like to call him because he's injury prone. He was a solid wide receiver with the Seahawks, was Paul Richardson, but when he came to Washington, he just couldn't stay healthy. And then Curtis Samuel this year, basically, he's doing the same thing. Can't stay healthy, had that groin injury. We thought he was good. He got the groin injury again, left again, like he was healed up, and now he has a hamstring. So Washington I don't know what Washington needs to do about their wide receiver. Just because aside from Terry McLaurin, who was drafted after DK Metcalf, is a proven number one. Washington just needs to get a proven number two. But if Washington doesn't treat their talent right, who knows if Washington will have an elite receiving core. Like Dallas. The Eagles, what do you guys think of the Eagles receiving core? Devontae Smith, has he performed as advertised, or was he a little overhyped? Because I see wide receivers like Jalen Waddle and who's the other guy? I'm blanking.
Who are you talking about? The other receiver drafted, Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I see those two. And I see more highlights of them than I do Devontae Smith.
Well, I'll tell you this: the reason you're seeing more highlights of them than you are Devontae Smith is number one because Jalen Waddle's playing in Miami. Of course, you're going to want to see Sonny Miami on your screen. Big time. You're talking about big time receiver from Alabama. Not to say Devontae Smith isn't, but and I you know what? I think the thing about Jalen Waddle is number one, for starters, she's getting ready to set the record for most rookie receptions in a season. Right now, he's sitting at about I stopped counting when he hit 90.
Can you all still hear me?
I can.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if I lost audio because my jaws literally just moved around. Kat, what about you? I don't know if you keep track of the Eagles players like Devontae Smith.
I honestly am really bad about keeping track of stats.
Oh, I think we lost Marvin. Hold on.
I think we did too.
Let me make sure he didn't mute himself. Just give me 1 second. Oh, yeah, we definitely lost Marvin. He'll text me back. He'll text me to let him back in, hopefully. But I'm gonna be miserable this weekend. Kat, how are you feeling? Are you feeling confident about the Eagles? I really don't. I was surprised. I was surprised I didn't, and I'm trying to keep this age appropriate, I guess.
Yeah.
I was this close to drinking my feelings away on Sunday because it was just so
Okay.
depressing.
Yeah, I can see why. I can totally see why. I honestly, I will definitely tune in because I want to see what happens, especially after last week's game against Washington and Dallas. I really want to see, what you guys can do, because, I am worried about, Washington, to be honest, but I, I give everybody, optimist, hope that they can pull through regardless. I mean, and just because we won does not mean anything for this weekend. It's a whole new week.
Yeah, that's true. But still,
know.
my team, Washington's still bad. I don't care. Like you can put all the you can put all the star players on that team, and then somehow they'll find a way to just stink it up.
But a lot of the teams aren't playing their starters, so it's because of COVID or other injuries. So it's not just as a whole, it's not just one team that's having this issue.
Yeah. So just give me 1 second. Marvin just texted me saying that he's gonna rejoin. Just let me add him back in. Okay. Okay. Oh, by the way, Jason Alamio, I don't care if you're happy over Sunday's result. There's a reason I didn't want you to join today's stream. I didn't want you to brag.
Oh dear.
Let me see if I can re-add him.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, my bad about that. My phone had cut off, and I didn't.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm not sure if you guys heard what I was saying, but I was just getting ready to say, it's hard for me to answer your question. I'm extremely happy with Devontae Smith is giving me this year. You're looking at a receiver who's going to hit 1,000 yards in his first season in the NFL, playing on an offense that a lot of people considered, underwhelming. And even Kat has said, Jalen Hurts was underperforming as far as like a pass, like from the passing perspective this season, and yet Devontae Smith is still about to finish with 1,000 receiving yards. But I was getting ready to say it's hard to compare Devontae Smith to Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase, because number one, Jalen Waddle's getting ready to break the not the receiving yards, because Justin Jefferson broke that, but the receptions for a rookie all time in the NFL ever. And you know what, if he broke it or not, I'm not sure, because I heard conflicting reports that one of them, somebody had told me it was 93, and if it was 93, he already broke it because he has 96. If it was 101, he's gonna break it because he has 96, and there's still 2 more games to go. So and then you look at Jamar Chase, somebody who's already posted 200 receiving yards in a single game, and somebody that towards the beginning of the season, Joe Burrow seemed to think that was his only receiver. But if you guys really take a hard look at the numbers, you'll start to see that that Devontae Smith over the last 8 games, 5 out of those 8 games has outplayed Jamar Chase, and over the last 8 games, their numbers, receiving yards, are almost identical. So I'm not disappointed in what Devontae Smith has done, and there's definitely going to be a lot of room for him to improve. But I'll take 1,000 yards in his rookie season.
All right. So, I guess one more question before we wrap up. I can't believe I'm doing this. I did this to myself last week. So last week when I had Jason Alamio on my channel, I predicted that Washington would lose by 40. He said that they would lose by 20. Guess who was right? I was. So I'm afraid to do it
They
again,
lost
but
by
I'm gonna have.
42.
Yeah, I know, but I said four. I said yeah, around that, but I said 40, and I was actually right. He said 20. I was closer. So I can't believe I'm gonna do this again. I'm not gonna ask for score predictions, but I do want to ask the margin. Like what? How? Like by how much do you guys think that? Yes, I'm giving Philly the win. Philadelphia is gonna win, and I'll give my predictions after you guys go. Let's go with Cat first.
I'm gonna say we're gonna win by 10.
10. Okay, Marvin.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go in that same thought process. I think Philly wins by 13.
Okay. If this happens again, I'm gonna really reevaluate my life choices. I say Philly wins by 17.
It's a big margin, but it's not like this is something like 33-16, something like that, 37-20. You can
Yeah,
see it
so
happen.
I say 27-10. Oh my god, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Watch it become a thing.
Well, if it is, I know where to find you. And never mind.
Oh no, I'm gonna
I'll
be
be
miserable
nice.
this Sunday. I'm gonna be miserable this Sunday. Anyways, I want to thank you both for coming on. I know that it
Thanks for
was
having us.
a tad bit messy. It's just trying to navigate. If you guys don't know, we're all blind individuals, so navigating StreamYard, it's not easy when when you're multitasking. Like I was keeping track of the chat. We were having audio issues. I had to step away for like a few minutes, but at the end of the day, we were able to work well together. Um, I look
That's what
forward
counts.
to having you all again in the future.
Absolutely, anytime.
But all right, guys, that'll do it for this show. Write in the chat if the chat's gonna still be around, but write in the comments where your thoughts are for the Eagles game this this upcoming Sunday. I'll be back later this week to discuss the preview, even though it's gonna be really hard for me. But yep, we're out of here. Let me see if I can end the stream. Just give me one second. Hold on. Yep. Yep, we're out of here, guys. Thanks.